on it, boy. Hey, how's it? Welcome to the podcast. I'm Junior Keiko Junior, and that was the comedy part of the podcast. Because people are like, wait a minute, what is a law of attraction comedy podcast? Well, in my world, that just means that I can make any kind. But anyway, I've been doing comedy for years and years and years. Started in elementary school and just never stopped. And no, I'm not a stand-up comic. I'm a different kind of comedian. I'm a voice actor. It's very different. And a lot of people go, wow, like they know what I do, right? They know I play a character, all this kind of stuff. And then they're like, yeah, but where you fit, bro? Okay. All right. But first, the attitude of gratitude before we get into the podcast. It's all relative today, believe me. And we just want to say thank you to everybody. We're not going to run down the countries because they're the same as the last time we did the podcast, which was a couple weeks ago. And we had to give it space because we had to allow listens. One day we had like 609 listens just in one day for one episode. So we're very grateful. We have tons of listeners. Most of them are outside Hawaii. So the states we're going to run down because we got to say thank you. So thank you, number 1, to California. Number 2 is Texas. Number 3 is Hawaii. Thank you, Hawaii, because we noticed a jump in the listens too. So we're getting a lot of listens. Okay, this is not like Dan Bongino's podcast where we have millions of listeners. It's not like that. Okay, but the number is just like it's amazing, and I think. Because more people are looking for podcasts. More people are carrying our podcast, more sites, and they're kind of like getting it out there because they need content. So they put us on board, and then we kind of go like, with their people and whatever. So we thank all you people. Thank everybody in every country, wherever you are listening to the podcast. Thank you so much. And aloha from Hawaii. Now, when you listen to the podcast, you are an honorary Hawaiian. Excuse me. Oh man, we started wrong already. Okay, so you are an honorary Hawaiian. And so on the last podcast, we're talking because we're telling my story, right? And my story is not a short encapsulated version. This is gonna take this is the last episode because I'm gonna leave it here. But these are things that I've never really said in public ever on any interview, on any platform or whatever. I told the story briefly on TikTok, and that happened I don't know, a couple weeks ago. I decided because I had to get over this thing, when I was diagnosed in my ADHD diagnosis, okay. And I'm going to read the full thing to you, the whole diagnosis. When I was diagnosed, there was no such thing as ADHD and nobody knew what to do. Okay, so there was a whole bunch of stuff that happened, including tons of physical abuse, not in my household, because whatever I got in my house, trust me, I deserved. And, and it wasn't that bad. I mean, back in the day, we all got the belt. Back in the day, we got hit with the wooden spoon, all that kind of thing. We got all of that. That was just the old days, okay? I'm talking about physical abuse. I'm talking about like torture, like, where you would say, okay, this is over the line and we got to put this in the torture category over there because that's what they do in prison camps. And I mean, really, on the real. I'm not exaggerating at all. But this is not that podcast. We already told that story, okay? and holding up the galvanized buckets and all that. So that was the other podcast. This podcast is the guy who saved my life, and I truly mean that, And like I said on the podcast, we don't name names, okay? But I got to tell you that this guy is a doctor, and I wish I could just tell you, but these things are confidential, and but this guy, I love this guy. Every Thanksgiving, okay, because I made notes for you guys because I want to come correct on this stuff. So I made notes, and let's see. So I was the last time I was discharged from a hospital because of this stuff, right, that I went through, and we're talking about the drug episode, right? We went through all of that. Last time, let's see, I have it here. I made notes. So, let's first start with the, it was November of 84. November of 84. Okay. It was the weekend. It was Saturday, November 23rd, 1984. Okay. That was the last time I saw the inside of a hospital, and I was like, yeah, it was, trust me, flashbacks after flashbacks or whatever. And then we had this doctor that was giving me all kinds of different stuff because he didn't know what to do. And you know, that's why they call it a practice. Okay. Cause they're practicing. You know, oh, try this. that working? Oh, no, now I get this, my shoulder no can move. Okay, take this one then. And then now, how's your shoulder now? You know, after a couple of weeks and you go back, how's your shoulder now? Oh, my shoulder's good, but my leg is stuck. And I go, oh, well, try one of these red pills. And then you try the red one and you come back and, you know, how's it feel now? Well, my limbs all good, but I can't think. I mean, bro, I can't even tell you guys, okay? And I don't want to, it's not about shaming that doctor either, because I really, honestly believe he did not know, okay? Because this doctor that saved my life was younger. He was out of med school sooner. I mean, the distance between med school and practice, right? So, and this other guy had been practicing medicine for like a long, long time. And you would think that, you know, those guys would have it down, right? Because they've been practicing longer. I mean, that's just in my layman's mind, okay? Anyway, so this new doctor came along. Now, before I go into like what exactly happened and how this happened, it's not a dramatic thing or anything. But my diagnosis, okay, is combined ADHD, combined presentation. Okay. Now, this means that there's two types of ADHD. And I want to thank Jonathan for that. I don't think he's listening. He's a very busy guy. But I want to thank my friend Jonathan for like explaining a lot of this stuff to me. He's the guy that inspired me to tell my story. He's the guy who said, hey, you know, this isn't a closet thing anymore. This isn't a dark, deep thing. And like so many people have this. More and more people are being born with this. And it's important for people to understand. And I gotta say, like, there's been more than a few people that have written to me on the email and said, thank you. Thank you for explaining. Thank you for... One guy was like, thank you for talking about pharmaceuticals and what they do and the damage they do and whatever. And then another one was like, hey, thanks for telling your story. Billy, mahalo. So, yeah. And then, you know, and I got at least 5 or 6 other emails like, wow, your story was really motivating. Thank you. It helps me. I don't have your disability, but yeah, I have a disability and you know, mahalo. And, you know, if it helps, it helps. I did not do this to help people. Well, I mean, I did this so that it would help, but that's the reason why I did this was because this guy that I know, Jonathan, right, has ADHD and he is developing courses and things for people with ADHD. And so when he started talking to me about it and educating me about it, right? Because I mean, you know, I've been so far away from doctors and all this stuff for this, like since 1984. And so he's telling, you know, he's educating me on this. And the reason why I started saying, yeah, okay, I'm ADHD, whatever, because, you know, he's saying, no, this is no big thing. And more people need to be aware and whatever and call attention to it. And it's time you started just telling people it's no big thing. So I'm like, oh, okay. So, so here we are. All right. So, so it's ADHD combined presentation. So there's two types. There's the hyperactive, right? So that's the ADHD. And then there's ADHD PI, which is the inattentive, the one you cannot concentrate, you cannot, you know, hang. Trust me, if I'm not interested in something, I cannot hang. Even the interested stuff, I can hang for so long and then, you know. But okay, so the combined thing just means I have both. So I am the worst form, Hawaiians, of ADHD you can get. Okay, I'm the guy. Now, the thing that happens, so let me read the whole thing to you. It's brief. All right. So the combined presentation of ADHD is diagnosed if 5 or more symptoms of hyperactivity, impulsivity. Okay, that's me, right? Let's nail it to the wall now. Okay. And then at least 5 symptoms of inattention have been present for the past 6 months. Inattention symptoms often fails to give close attention to details or makes careless mistakes on schoolwork or other activities. And I got this from Google. This is because I needed something to read to you guys, okay, without getting clinical and going into the medical books and all that stuff. So, and it's called the combined presentation of ADHD. Okay, there you go. So that's my diagnosis. But what happened with the drug episode, right? So the last podcast, we talked about what happened. And that kind of put me in an awkward position because now I moved from the, just being hyper and inattentive and whatever, cannot concentrate and, jumping all over the place, right? I moved from that category into, okay, we're going to add, PCP, right? Angel dust. We're going to add that plus heroin and cocaine overdose kind of thing when you smoke it kind of thing, whatever, right? That. So the flashbacks from that, now we're going to compound that. Okay. So instead of just being ADHD and, now taking ADHD medicine, I got to take these anticonvulsants that actually prevent me from flashing back. Yeah, and I mean, and sometimes I gotta tell you, Hawaiians, it's not easy to live with, ADHD, and ADHD brain. And I'll tell you my biggest challenge before I tell you about the guy who saved me and all of that. But the biggest challenge that I face in my life, like from day to day, and, and I keep telling, I'll talk to my family. I think the only person I really do talk to this about it with is my mom. I talk to my mom and say, Mom, you don't know what this is like. I get an idea and I cannot sleep. I mean, I start thinking about something. Now I can take a thought, I can take a process, let's say it's a topic. Okay. So let's say it's butterflies. All right. So I can start thinking about these butterflies and then pretty soon I can't sleep because I'm thinking about butterflies, right? So then I can, go on my phone, right? Pull up butterfly species. I can go through all these species. I can focus on it. I can make notes. I can do like I'm studying for an exam or something, and I can get all the details and right. And then pretty soon it's like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning, and I gotta work the next day, right? So as a result, right, these things happen to me every once in a while. It doesn't happen to me every night, but it'll happen. And if I'm not careful, then, and the other thing is, I have these sleeping pills that I got to take sometimes. I don't have to take them all the time. Sometimes I don't take them. Sometimes I take, but I do take melatonin, right? So I take melatonin, and then sometimes I got to take the sleeping pills. When I was working on radio, I had to take the sleeping pills because I had to knock myself out and be up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Now, another thing you guys have to know is people with ADHD don't live very long. Okay. I mean, the longevity, like maybe 10 or 15 years shorter than the average person. So if the average person, I don't know what I didn't Google that part for you guys, but whatever the average age right now, I think it's around 75, 70, I don't know, something like that, right? Okay. So ADHD people don't live that long. Okay. Based upon the way their brain is and the results you get from it. Some of us overeat. I was one of those, right? Some of us, overdo in this area or that area, or some people work too much. I can go on projects for days. I can work for days and just get 4 hours sleep and wake up and back on the laptop and boom, pounding out stuff again, right? And I mean, that kind of thing. Now, if you do that and if you're going further than the average human, because we have that kind of energy and we have that kind of focus. If we're, like I said, if we're interested, we can go for days and days. So that's not healthy. Okay. And that will run you into the ground. And I have, in fact, nowadays it's not so bad, but before, when I was climbing that imaginary ladder of success, all that stuff, the stuff we talk about, right, on the podcast. Well, anyway, when I was going through all those things and, trying to make it, I still don't know what that is. I mean, my friends that have millions of dollars, that have businesses that bring in millions of dollars, okay, tens of millions of dollars, they don't know. I ask them, what is success? How does success feel? And they go, what do you mean success? I just get up and go to work. So that whole thing is like a mindset, and some of it is illusion, some of it is delusion, whatever, because there is none, right? There's no ladder to success. It's all perception. So anyway, but when I was doing that, right, and so I would go, I would go to my school, I would teach all day, and then I would go, I had to go judge a band contest at Dave & Buster's or something, or this local place, and be a judge for Battle of the Bands or whatever. And then I get back home at like 11 o'clock at night, and then I have to get up at 4 a.m. and be on the radio, and then work the whole entire next day with a nap. I take a nap, maybe 3-4 hour nap, and then work it starts all over again. Okay, so stuff like that I used to do for about, I want to say, I could last for about almost a month in that cycle. Like almost, I want to say like 3.5 weeks. And then I would have what I call hit the wall day. And hit the wall day went something like, okay, I cannot even get out of bed today. And and I made sure that I made it to Friday or whatever, right? Because, the radio thing was always Monday through Friday. And, and then my stuff was like weekends, because that's when I would teach the kids, and the kids were out of school. So the weekend calendar was always full. And there would be that one weekend where, I would tell my friend, I was like, hey, bro, can you take them for me or what? Cause I just cannot move today. And he was like, oh yeah, shoots. And he would, catch the van to work. And I would just be on my bed, and I had a darkened room. So I would just be like lying on my bed in a darkened room, not even eating, just drinking. I always have water on the side of my bed. I drink water and stuff, and just veg like the entire day. And I would probably get out of bed maybe about 1 or 2 o'clock and have something to eat and go right back to bed. But here's the thing, right? Like after I did that and got that kind of me time, which is, I don't recommend this for anybody. No matter how much energy you have, no matter how young you are, but young people do it all the time, right? They go out, drink all night, right? And then they get 2 hours sleep and boom, they're at work, right? That's what you do when you're 22, 23, right? I was doing this in my 50s. I was doing this in my 40s, my 50s, but I don't do it now because I don't have to. I just don't have to. And there's still so many things that I'm grateful that I don't have to do anymore. But back in the day, I had to manage. And here's the thing, right? This is like a side caveat for you. You become a slave to your creations, so be careful what you create. And the more you create, the more you are obligated to your creations. So if, you start one company or one business, right? You're obligated. At one point, I thought, wow, I'm going to branch out. I'm going to start one store. And my mom said, if you start a store, you're going to be anchored to that store. She goes, now with the things that you do, you can move around. You can, do stuff and run errands and go to meetings. You're not going to be able to go to meetings, so you won't be able to do your consulting company. You won't be able to. And I didn't think of that, right? And it's like, oh, okay, all right, scrap that idea. No store. Because there was a small little space that I was going to rent, and was right near this housing, which that would have been another problem. But anyway, but that's my entrepreneurial mind. Like, oh wait, let's do that too. Let's do this, that, whatever. So anyway, but anyway, so those are the things that I deal with, and that's the hit the wall day. that I used to call it. And I used to have hit the wall days like every 3 weeks. And every 3 weeks, I would take that one day and there was no energy left in me. I mean, only enough to walk around the house. And that was it. And so I spent the day in bed in recovery. And then we go another 3.5 weeks. Okay, so now let's get to the guy that really saved my life. And because I was discharged from the hospital, okay, I was discharged from Queens Hospital, and that was on November, I read it to you guys, Saturday, November 23rd, 1984, okay. This was the reason why I was in on Saturday, or discharged on Saturday, is because my doctor wanted me to be able to hang out at the hospital for Thanksgiving. And there's a reason why. Is that the guys that I met, some of these people that I met in the hospital back in the day, like they had similar problems to myself. Some of them had worse problems, like bad problems. I don't want to go into all of those things, but we kind of made friends because my term in the hospital was like 2 weeks, and you see these guys every day. You talk. There's nothing to do but talk story and get to know people. And and you're not networking. You just kind of how's it, whatever, talk story, and somebody, people to keep you company, because visitors don't always come. And I did not have visitors, at least not that time. And but these things kept happening to me because everything kept changing. Medicine kept changing. Well, maybe this, maybe that, maybe whatever. And so one day, right, I meet this guy, this doctor, and he was assigned to me. He was like this young doctor, and he was from the mainland, and he was new in town. And I'll never forget, he was wearing cowboy boots, right? And I thought, wow, this guy is cool, like cowboy boots, right? And he had long hair and a beard back when beards were not even fashionable, right? And he had long hair, and he looked like, he looked like on Surfer Brother. Like he looked like, and then the cowboy boots, right? So then you think, well, country, right? Oh, I'm about to ride horse, right? Okay, yeah, he didn't do that, but he was so cool and mellow. This guy was like just really mellow, friendly. I can't say enough about this guy, but a good guy. I've worked with people like my whole life, and even back then when I was younger, because I was around, my parents that worked with people that we met all kinds of people from all walks of life, and I knew people. If it's one thing I always knew, it was people. And this guy was a good guy, and I could tell like right then and there. I don't know about you, but I'm the kind of guy, like if I meet somebody, it takes me like, I don't know, like 3 to 5 minutes, and either I know right away I like this guy. Sometimes I know or girl, I know right away if I don't like them. I know immediately if I can't stand them. I get that, and I can feel that energy. You know what I'm saying? But it takes me like 5 minutes to just like talk to somebody and go, and sometimes, so this happens in extremes, and maybe because I'm ADHD. But it happens in extremes. Like if I meet somebody and I go, because sometimes it's like, wow, I like be his friend, or wow, I like get to know her, that kind of feeling. And then it's like I can't stand this fricka, right? And then I can't stand this chick. This is not gonna work. And I know like almost instantaneously to each degree, either the real positive degree, like yeah, I gotta like get to know that, yeah, I like be friends with, or the other way. And so it just hit me right away, like, bro, this is the guy right there, right? Now I didn't know about his medical skills. I didn't know about anything. So he goes through this whole thing, and he goes, wow, I see you're taking all this stuff. And because he was assigned to me, okay? And he goes, wow, you're taking all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah. I said, you don't know. I said, Doc, you don't know the half of it. I said, I've been taking this stuff for years, because I was 23 years old at the time. My birthday is in October. Okay. So actually I was 24 when I got that after Thanksgiving. But it was like 3 days after Thanksgiving, right? 2 days after Thanksgiving, actually. So I'm trying to think in real time here. My ADHD brain is kind of scrambling around trying to grab details. But so I was discharged 2 days after Thanksgiving. He let me stay in the Thanksgiving, so everybody could socialize and whatever. We all had turkey at the hospital. Turkey, I gotta tell you, Hawaiians, turkey at the hospital is a different experience. It's very different. I can remember that. That was back in '84, and I can remember that. But anyway, so he when I first met him, he's looking through the charts. He goes, "Damn, you're on all kinds of stuff." And I go, "You don't know." So I told him, right? I told him the story. I told you guys, right? And he didn't know any of the local doctors, so he had no idea who this other guy was. And he kind of heard of him, but he didn't know him. And he goes, no, he goes, you don't need all of this stuff, man. He's going through the chart. I watched him go through the chart, and I'm sitting here with hope now. Like I was sitting there hoping, like, oh man, maybe there's a cure for me, or maybe I don't need to take nothing. Because this was another thing, right? There would be times, okay, that I would get massive flashbacks, because I didn't take any medicine at all. Because at a certain point, I was like, bro, I'm over this stuff already. I want to be like my other friends. I like be like, Joe Blow down the street that I know. I like be like him. I'm not going to take nothing. It's like, F this, right? Okay, well, that ended, in another hospitalization. And they go, okay, well, you gotta take this stuff. And they would shoot me up with, the IM of it, so that it would just, work, right? And they had heavy duty tranquilizers. I mean, so back in the old days, now, if I had been born, decades earlier, like a couple decades, maybe 1 decade earlier, if I was born earlier, there was no cure, Hawaiians. There was not even treatment. Okay. There's still no cure. I mean, you gotta do something, right? But back in the day, you know what they did? They put you in a straitjacket, and they left you in the corner in a room in an asylum. That was the only option. That was the only option. And a lot of people like that, just, they didn't fit in society, right? Some of them went to prison because they did some, stuff, right? Over the top stuff. Or they got into criminal activity, okay? Guilty. But I mean, but this is what ADHD people get involved with. This is what ADHD people, the results have been for the majority of them, like almost all of them. Okay, so they're the rebels. They're the ones that don't fit in. They're the ones that either don't want to concentrate in school, or cannot, or just get mad because they cannot focus. They cannot concentrate, and they get mad and they start being rebellious. Okay, that was me. But I learned a lot of stuff at home already. Okay, because my parents were teachers. My dad was a professor. And my mom was a elementary school teacher, and so from small, right, at least for 4 years before they parted ways, right, I was programmed with all kinds of stuff, because they wanted me to be smart, successful, all of that, whatever, all of the above, right? And my biggest advice to kids, right, is don't follow your parents' narratives. Do what you want to do. Okay, if you want to just go, I don't know, make flower lace or whatever, or if you think that's cool or what, just do that. But be the best at doing that, and eventually someone will notice or whatever, and whatever. Okay, God is real. Okay, the higher power, the higher self, whatever you want to call it, is real. Okay, so anyway, so this guy goes over my stuff. He goes, bro, you don't need all this stuff. I go, really? He goes, yeah, but you know what? With these types of medicines, right? And these were chemical. Some of them were small amounts of chemical straitjackets. Okay, so they have chemical straitjackets now. These medicines that they give people, like, will totally disable their muscles. Like, it'll totally relax your muscles, so you can't even fight back. You're just mellow. You're just sitting there, but you're basically like a vegetable. I mean, you can think, but your muscles won't move. I mean, and these are all new inventions. If, like I said, if I was born 20 years earlier or whatever, maybe 10, I don't know. But yeah, that stuff, I mean, it didn't even exist. So praise God, I was born when I was born. Okay, and whatever. And yeah, I'm probably gonna die early. So no worries, Hawaiians. I lived all my dreams. I'm happy. Okay, if you ever hear about, how much starting, Junior's heart just gave out because he was working too much. Okay, I had fun. Okay, I had fun. It was a great life, and thank you, God, for all my blessings. So don't feel sorry for me. If you hear that, you go, okay, he finally went Kiko. That's it. Okay, be happy for me, because yeah, I enjoyed a great life, better than I deserve, totally. So he goes, well, these medicines and stuff, yeah, we gotta gradually cut you down because you can't just get off it, right? He goes, but I have something for you. You just take 2 of these in the morning, you take 2 of these at night, and you will not have any problems. And so I'm like, wow, okay, because I was taking 5, 6 stuff, and then they gave me this one medicine, right? Was to counteract side effects, and whenever I got side effects, it was like what they call a PRN, as needed, and I would take that one, and then it would unlock me or whatever. No, sometimes my hand used to lock, sometimes my jaw used to lock. I mean, weird stuff like that. Okay, now he put me on this one thing, right, and slowly decreased off everything else, right? Everything else. And it took I want to say it took about I don't know precisely how much, but if I were to guess, I would say 6 months. I would say about 4 to 5 to 6 months max. And it took that long to get me off it. Now, you also have to detox from this stuff, okay? It's weird. It's really weird. You don't get withdrawals like heroin, well, I never did heroin, but I quit smoking cigarettes, and guys was telling me, oh man, no, if you quit cigarettes, bro, that's a better achievement than quitting heroin. And I was like, really? He goes, oh yeah, it's easier to quit heroin than cigarettes. And I was like, whoa. Anyway, so that's a side note. Okay, caveat. But anyway, that happened, and it was some side effects that I had to go through on the way down, kind of thing, so to speak. But then he finally got me off everything, and I cannot tell you the level of gratitude. Now in my and this is like I was working already, okay, and I started doing radio in 1979. I went to school, went to trade school, and I started with part-time jobs here and there, right? So I was already working before I finished school. Now, in addition to, working and whatever, and having flashbacks and all this crap, right? I was trying to establish a career in radio so that I could get to do my music, so that I could perform, so I could sing for people. That's all I wanted, Hawaiians. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to. I saw Sinatra, I saw Dean Martin, I saw those guys, Tony Bennett, all them guys, and I was like, you know what? I want to be like them. I want to just stand there, hold a mic, and sing, and do a show and make people laugh and all that kind of stuff, right? So radio to me was, and I told you on the other podcast, I told you the reasons. I would be in the industry, be next to, this industry people, whatever, record companies. Well, okay, none of that worked. Well, what I thought would work, none of it worked. Absolutely none, okay? But what did work was radio, right? And then I had the time of my life working on radio. And the guy that opened the door, and I think it was by accident, but but he opened he opened the door for every major thing in my life, every major job. I had a lot of minor jobs, but the major ones, the ones that paid real good, he did them. Like he like, oh, wow, yeah, come work with us, come over here, and I just go. Okay, so but radio worked, right? And I mean, you can only last so long carrying furniture up 4 flights of stairs. You know what I mean? Like that's not gonna last too long. You can do that in your 30s. You can do that in your 20s. When you get older, yeah, you gotta try to find something, right? So anyway, but everything happened as it happened, but the things that I thought, the plan I had, didn't pan out. So right now, what I do is I do not plan. Ever since I learned what they call the law of attraction, or God in action, basically is what it is. The way human beings are designed, right? I focus on the end goal or the end game, and I just let everything fall into place, and I rely a lot on my subconscious, and boom, there it is. So I gave up planning, because planning, right? You go, okay, we're going to do this first, then this, then that going to happen, and this going to happen, and that. It never happens. It never, ever, well, not for me. I don't know. I can only talk about me, but it never happened for me like that, ever. Not one time. Not one time did I, it always goes like out to left field, out to right field, or, something else happens, something good happens, right? But I'm saying it's not like something bad happens, but nothing turns out the way you plan. So I gave up planning. I'm like, okay, no more planning. That's, and I gave up planning in my 40s. I'm like, okay, no. And everything turned out. Everything. So when I wanted a new car, okay, I got to take you guys over here a little while, okay? When I wanted a new car, right, all I did was bring home the brochure from the dealership. That's all I did. Put them up on my wall, right? Vision board. Put them up on my wall, started writing affirmations. That's all I did. I didn't go out and try to get another stream of income to support the car. I didn't go out and those kind of things. I didn't do any of that. All I did was focus on the car. That's it. Car, this one, that, I want that one, that color, that one. And, one time I got the wrong color. One car out of, I don't know, whatever. It's been so many new cars now, right? But that one time, because they were all out of the color that I wanted, and I had to have a car because I was trading them in, and I went through the process already. And so they go, well, sorry, bad news. We didn't know, and we only got that one and that one. And I chose one of them, and I was unhappy with it. Here's the thing, too, you got to understand about that kind of stuff. When you're unhappy with something, your subconscious knows, okay? Because you're constantly telling yourself, like, I don't really like, I'm going to drive this car, but I don't really like them all that much. And guess what's going to happen? It's going to go away, like at some point or something, right? And that's what happened. Okay, somebody actually accidentally backed up into my car, and that car I didn't like too much, right? So little things like that started happening, and pretty soon the that phone thingy, like when you're using the phone in the car, the automatic thingy, so that didn't recognize my voice, and so I took it back. I took it back, and so eventually you're going to make a decision like that. And what happens is, when you have a goal, your subconscious starts creating the steps to get there. Okay. It could be, if your goal is to, lose 20 pounds, and you pass a dessert table at a party, your subconscious may go, come on, bro, you don't need that. That kind of thing, right? So anyway, back to the doctor. Okay. And this guy was so cool that I trusted him. I'm like, I gotta trust this guy. This was like Jesus, honest. He had long blonde hair with this beard. Okay? Like I wasn't delusional thinking it was Jesus. I'm just saying that he still is and was my savior in that respect, in the human being kind of right. Now there have been many people that have helped me in my life. Many people. For anybody to take all the credit for everything they've done or wherever they get in life or whatever, that's a bunch of crap. Okay. There's a lot of people that helped me. I could name them. okay? But this podcast is no names. There were a couple guys with a TV show. There were two guys on one TV show. There was another guy with another TV show, another guy with another TV show, and they all helped me. And I was doing radio, right? And TV and radio guys, there's a little attitude thingy between, that kind of thing. And never mind, but it's an industry thing. Or maybe it's a radio guy paranoia thing. I don't know. Anyway, but this guy was like Jesus, right? He's like, okay, he's gonna liberate me. I'm like, whoa, okay. So we went through the plan, and I actually signed. I went through let's just get past all the minor details, but I actually went through the whole thing and cut down months and months and months. Pretty soon all the side effects started going away. And anyway, 1984 was the last time that I ever needed to see a doctor about this issue that I have. And that was a long time ago. 24 for me, Hawaiians, was a long time ago. I can tell you that. Okay. Praise God for sending that guy. There are many people that I praise God that he sent, okay, or she sent. Maybe God, female, I don't know, whatever. But I praise God for so many people that just reach out their hand. Now, when you have what I have, when and everybody got something. Everybody's dealing with something, right? Everybody has a cross to bear, as they say. But this is my cross, and I'm telling you guys about my cross and what I live with, and there's a lot of stuff that works in my favor, like to make people laugh. There's a lot of stuff that works in my favor to help educate people in my teaching practice, right? And there's a lot of things that work in my favor with this overactive brain that can memorize, that can, over 300 songs. I mean, at one point, right? Over 100. What did I think? At one point, I did 116 different voice types. So that's character. That's celebrities, characters, cartoons, and then stuff that I would crisscross and make up, kind of thing. And I teach that now. I teach people how to do voice acting. I teach people how to, so all these things, right? So I teach people how to do what I do. I can't teach them to think how I think. I don't want them to have this. This is not good. I mean, I thank God though. Thank God, because this could have been worse. This could have been much worse. Okay. And when I started the singing company, right? Because I decided at one point I was going to quit this radio station because it was toxic and I just couldn't stand it anymore. And the general manager, who I revere very highly now, and have for a long time. It took me a couple of years away from him to go, yeah, you know what? He taught me some really valuable stuff. It took me a couple of years because, you're kind of salty when, like when you're leaving, right? And, I can't stand this, but yeah, I'm glad I'm away from this place, right? And it took me a couple of years, and I started thinking about the guy, and I go, all this stuff is showing up in my companies now. All this stuff is showing up in each business that I do. And the principles remain the same. Doesn't matter what business, your clients are the lifeblood of your company, right? Customer service. You get an email, return it. You get a text, return it. You get a call, return it, right? Maybe if it's a chick, you gotta let them hang, right? But I'm just saying always, right? But I'm on the real, right? All these things that but he was the guy that told me, hey, every time I had a request for like supplies and stuff, you do like working there, don't you, Junior? And I was like, okay, shut up already, just shut up, right? No saying nothing, yeah. And I wouldn't say anything, or I would say, yeah, I do like working there. And pretty soon, right, the subconscious, right? And the subconscious goes, bro, you know what? You do not like working here. So be honest with yourself. Okay, go quit. And I turned in my resignation. But before I did that, I went downtown to Mauna Kea Street. For you guys outside of Hawaii, this is a street where there's a lot of lei stands. And I bought 45 leis. and I gave everybody who works day shift at the radio station, everybody got a lei. Everybody got a lei and an aloha from me, and that's the way I do. And then I left. And the rest, as they say, is history. But do I hold it against that guy? No, hell no. I really appreciate that guy and what he taught me, because it helped me in my world with my businesses. So there's always a lesson, Hawaiians. Sometimes you get mad, right? Sometimes you're salty for a little while, okay? But you got to turn around and you got to look at the good side. You got to turn around and you got to go, oh yeah, if it wasn't for him and the kind of hard lessons that he taught me, even though it's hard, even, whatever, right? Boom, there you go. Okay, so anyway, but as time went on, right, I had to adjust to, the detoxification, you might say, or the adjustment. And then that, but that was minor compared to the roller coaster ride I was on from the time I was drugged at 16, right? The latter part of 16. Luckily I graduated high school, and that was only because some teachers were very understanding. My mom sat down with me and explained stuff, like especially book reports, like long-winded stuff. Sat down and took the time to do stuff with me, to help me, and teachers helped me, counselors helped me. I think at that point when that happened, a lot of students were very, I want to say, sympathetic. A lot of my classmates were sympathetic. Some of my classmates didn't understand. They thought I was crazy. And it kind of goes like that. And then that's one of the reasons why I've never shared this publicly. Because you see, in the old days, and I'm talking like, so when I say old days, right, I've been out of radio for 7 years. And if you go back from that point, 7 years ago, before that, there was one time that I told someone, right, that I was honest and open and all of the above. And I told a guy, and he used it against me. And I was like, what? And like, so I'm that kind of guy, like, when that stuff happens, right? I never bite the hand that feeds me. Never, ever, ever. Okay. And I have put up with a lot of crap from people that have done nice things for me. And, eventually I just, I go, okay, but that's the guy that helped you. Okay, but that's the girl that was nice to you. Okay, but this is the guy that did this for you. And so I let go. I just, okay, let go. Yeah, you're angry for a little while, right? You come home, whatever. And then you let go. You let go because you go, no, he helped me. I cannot. Because, right, God sends these people. Okay, and you doing stuff like that, you biting the hand that feeds you. Okay, that's like telling God, like, you didn't deserve that. That's like telling God. And the reason I say that is because everything comes to us from God through others. Okay, through others. Even though somebody might be envious of you, or somebody might be they might not like you as a person, but they're just gonna do something for you. Okay, some people do stuff for you because they know it benefits them. I mean, different scenarios. It doesn't matter, right? But I came from an open, honest standpoint, and I shared this information. And I mean, this was years and years ago, right? Like over 20 years ago. But the guy turned it around and used it against me. And then, like, the attitude of people that surrounded, that situation and that job, began to be very standoffish. I call it salted. That's what I call it. And I got salted. Okay. And that's just my personal term, but yeah, so that's what that's what I experienced. And so after that, I said, okay, you know what? I'm not going to tell nobody at all, ever. Paul, done. I'm not going to share. I'm just going to live with this thing. I'm just going to, do the best I can, whatever. And then years later, boom, the doors open, and, the rest, as they say, is history, right? But in retrospect, yeah, back in the old days, if people knew about certain disabilities that you had, I don't care what it is. I mean, people would not hire somebody in a wheelchair in the old days. People would not hire, certain people, right? With certain disabilities. Now, bro, you got, I know this attorney that has sued buildings because they don't have ramps for wheelchairs and stuff, like office buildings, businesses, right? And he's in a wheelchair. The attorney's in a wheelchair. And I'm like, yeah, you go. Because I have always been a champion for people with disabilities because, yeah, right there. One, right there. Me. Yep. Me too. Hashtag me too. Right? So, but anyway, and then when I started my quest in entertainment, right? I started alone. I started by myself. And then one day, okay, now this is the week after, okay, in 1984, the week after the hospital thingy, I had been going to church because I'd been very grateful. And I went to this Street People church, right? Street People mission. And that's where I met Brother Wayne. And the rest, as they say, is history. It was the week after. And but anyway, so then that happened. And Wayne was blind. And so here you had two guys with disabilities, right? He had one guy who can think and one guy who can see, right? And then we met Miley, okay, and Miley had a mild case of cerebral palsy, okay, and she was a drug baby. I didn't find this out till years and years and years later, okay, and then we met her, and then we partnered and we started the second company. Wayne and I started Imua Productions, the first company, which is no longer in existence. That has morphed into VMAT Consultants. But we started that company first. The second one was a singing school. And the singing school, you had the guy who can think, right? And you can't, or think too much or whatever, all of the above. Sometimes, right? Sometimes one, sometimes the other. And then you had one guy who can see, right? And then you had one girl who can walk. Okay, well, she could walk with crutches, but you know what I mean, right? I'm exaggerating, but yeah, she had that physical disability. I had the mental, and Wayne, he was blind physical, right? So you had three people with disabilities helping all these people, and we helped a lot of people. We served over 7,000 people in, it's been 33 years. In 33 years. And Wayne passed away, and the only thing of when Wayne came down with cancer, I called the priest that used to do the Street People service, and to let him know, and I had never gotten a hold of him or tried to get a hold of him to let him know the successes that we had. I never got a hold of him to say, hey, we started a school, and hey, we started this wedding and party business called the Roadshow, and hey, we started this production company, and I never, it never occurred to me to go back and brag, to go back and whatever. Like, there's a lot of stuff, like I said, I do online because I have to promote and whatever, but it never occurred to me to get a hold of that priest and whatever. But I did make a phone call, and I got his answering machine, and I left a message, saying that Wayne's dying of cancer. They don't know how long he has, but it doesn't look good, and I'm wondering if I can bring him by so he can he could talk to you or whatever, just say hello, that kind of thing, and thank you, because it was important for me to thank him, and I did thank him on the voicemail. And but that never happened. I never got a call back, and I thought, that's interesting. That's really interesting. But yeah, that happened. So, but anyway, so these three people with disabilities created this singing school that improved the lives of many people, if I may say so myself. And it transcended into other areas, and yeah, we did other things. And this is not the blow my own horn podcast, okay? So, but I'm just saying that, yeah, it transpired into a lot of stuff. And these were the blessings. And this is why I say, if I die tomorrow, Hawaiians, I'm happy. Okay. And here's the thing about this doctor guy, that the guy that saved me, right? The last time I got to talk to him, which was a real big treat for me, was during the pandemic. Because, you see, every Thanksgiving, without fail, okay, I think there was one Thanksgiving I forgot, and I called him the next day. But I call his answering machine, because every time you call, it's an answering machine, right? And then he picks up all his messages. But every Thanksgiving, I call his phone, his answering machine, and I say thank you. And I'll leave it there.